guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be reacting to a video called The Swedish Songwriter Who's Running the Music Industry. I think Swedish songwriters tend to be quite, from what I've heard, they tend to be really good and the songs are usually quite catchy. But apparently there's someone behind this whole scene. I don't know, but historically I think Swedish songwriters have been pretty good. But let's check it out and comment, like, and subscribe.
If you've heard songs like Blinding Lights by The Weeknd, Blank Space by Taylor Swift, or Dark Horse by Katy Perry, then you have heard the work of Max Martin. Max Martin is a producer and songwriter behind 25 Billboard Hot 100 #1 songs, many of which he has written or produced. But since Max Martin isn't on social media and doesn't do too many interviews, he's fairly mysterious and relatively...
I like that. If you were that successful and probably rich, you're probably just leave it all behind. I'm fine living my life.
Unknown by your average music listener. So this had me wondering, who is Max Martin? Why is he so mysterious? And what are his secrets to making these hit songs? Well, today we are going to be looking into the mysterious man behind 25 #1 songs.
That's a lot.
Carl Martin Sandburg was born in 1971. Surprisingly enough, neither of his parents were
Quite young. I was maybe expecting him to be a little bit older since he's so successful.
musicians. Instead, his dad was a policeman and his mom was a teacher. He quickly fell in love with music, listening to his parents' music collection that consisted of artists like Elton John, Queen, the Beatles, Mozart, and more. His older brother was...
It's funny because, yes, maybe his parents were musicians, but through his parents, he actually got to learn and love music. So in a way, it was his parents' influence.
also very into glam rock, which gave him the short-lived dream of becoming a rock star. He said that...
But rock star, I'm hearing a lot of rock, but not pop, and apparently Billboard, well, not always, but I think usually the hits on Billboard tend to be quite pop, or at least pop adjacent, not specifically rock.
At the time, he listened to nothing but Kiss, and because of this music, he sang in multiple bands. In Sweden, they actually have a state-sponsored music education program, with about 30% of these students going to publicly funded music programs. So Max took advantage of this by...
I love that music is so important to them that they have an after-school program.
taking free private French horn lessons. He continued to learn other instruments like the drums, the keyboard, and more. Eventually, he joined a band called It's Alive, with the stage name Martin White. But despite his love for metal, he also had a passion for pop music. He even said, I couldn't...
So he basically liked everything from classical, pop, rock, metal. He just listens to everything, which I think makes sense. If you're that successful of a songwriter, you probably know a lot of genres.
admit to my friends that I liked it. Eventually though, after being in his band for a while, he...
A little ashamed, okay.
met the DJ Dennis Pop in 1994.
Han sa att han behövde någon som kunde spela lite ackord och sådär. Vilket han hade fått för sig att jag kunde. Och så började vi det var en helt sjuk grej faktiskt. Det förändrade ju allting för mig. Alltså inte bara att han ens såg mig och tog upp mig in i sin värld. Det förändrade hela mitt liv. Jag hade ju aldrig suttit här och pratat med dig idag. Om inte vore för honom.
Dennis was an already successful music producer who had just recently founded Sharon Studios, which was a recording studio that would become a go-to for many popular musicians. Max's band would be signed by Sharon's record label, but Dennis really took a liking to Max. The two began working closely together, with Dennis acting as a mentor to Max. Dennis made sure to capitalize on Max's ability to write and produce songs, giving him a good understanding of the music studio rather than the stage. Dennis also suggested the stage name,
like something a little bit more behind the scenes,
Max Martin, instead of Martin White. Dennis Pop and Max Martin became an
the stage name sounds catchier.
inseparable producer and songwriter duo.
Well, my name is Dennis Pop. This here is Max Martin, and we're one of the producer crews behind Ace of Base.
The first group that the duo worked a lot with was the Backstreet Boys. Max wrote multiple songs for them, including the song I Want It That Way. The songs he wrote for them really helped put the band on the map.
Max and Dennis were responsible for the whole birth of Backstreet Boys.
But did those two wrote it themselves, or they worked alongside the band and the band also helped, or were there just Max Martin and the other guy that I can't remember his name, the mentor? It sounds like those two wrote it and they just sort of gave it to the band, right?
I think even kind of helping us find ourselves within our image, within whatever encompassed the Backstreet Boys was Max and Dennis.
At the time, the
Okay, so not just when it comes to the music, more the persona, not the personality, but the persona and how you're presenting yourself.
Backstreet Boys were signed to Jive Records, the same record company that in 1997 had just recently signed a girl named Britney Spears. They were looking for a songwriter to help her out, so they immediately thought to recruit Max Martin. Max had already written a song that he was holding on to. He first tried giving it to TLC and the Backstreet Boys, but after they rejected it, he thought,
Okay, so what I'm understanding is that he wrote those songs himself or with the other guy, and he just gave it, probably they sell it to artists. I don't know how the whole thing worked.
that Britney would be perfect. And that song was Baby One More Time. When the song was released in 1998, it became Max Martin's first #1 hit song, and to this day it is
The first of many.
one of the best-selling singles of all time.
Wow.
Working with Dennis Pop, Max learned one of the first secrets to making a hit song. He learned that a song had to be recognizable in the first few seconds, meaning it had to be unique or catchy enough to the point that you would know the song right away.
No,
That's, yes, a lot of good songs and very popular songs are songs that you just hear the first 5 seconds and you already know exactly, oh, this is by this band or by this artist, or I know exactly what song this is, which I think that makes sense. And of course they have to be catchy, and maybe sometimes you don't like the song but it's really catchy, which I think, well, that's what makes it a good song, right?
we had this philosophy of, because he came from the DJ world to, and to keep people on the floor when you changed the song.
Okay.
You had to, it couldn't be like, what's this? It had to be something, he liked playing songs where they knew exactly what it was, just from the
Interesting point. Yeah, you don't need to, because if you're spending time, your brain's like, oh, what is this? No, that doesn't work. You just need to be, that's why the whole easily recognizable part comes in. And even if it's the first time that you're hearing this, it sounds like something that you probably heard before, even though you haven't, just because it's that recognizable sort of like element that the songs need to have.
very start.
This is evident in Baby One More Time and plenty of his other hit songs. Right before Max released this song with Britney Spears, his mentor and friend Dennis Pop passed away of stomach cancer at the age of 35. Because of this, Max took over the musical aspect of Sharon, as Tom Toloma took over the business aspect. After only a couple years though, Sharon was closed because Max wanted to experiment with other types of music without being shackled to the Sharon name. Max continued working with Britney Spears for a while, writing many of the songs on her next 2 albums. In 2000, he landed his second #1 song with NSYNC's song It's Gonna Be Me. During this time, he opened his own
A lot of huge pop acts.
production company called Maratone in 2001 with Tom Toloma. Max was in high demand because of his work with Britney Spears, and because of this, he started working with tons of different artists. He was so
Yeah, if I'm an artist in that time period and I'm seeing what he could do for Britney, probably I would tell my record label, hey, I want to work with this guy. Either, I don't know how he, either writing with him or please tell him that to please give me a song.
successful by 2001 that he had people like Simon
If you got a Max Martin as your writer, you have a better chance of having a worldwide hit than with anyone else. Yes, those are big words, but apparently true.
Cowell saying, if you've got Max Martin as your writer, you have a better chance of having a worldwide hit than with anyone else. In 2004, Max began working with Dr. Luke, likely teaching him a thing or two as they would eventually become frequent collaborators. And they both helped create Kelly Clarkson's album Breakaway. One of the songs they worked on was Since You've Been Gone, which surprisingly didn't go #1. It was while working with her that he experimented with more rock sounds within his pop music. He also aided in the creation of some of the songs on Pink's album I'm Not Dead in 2006. But 2008 is when Max Martin would really hit his stride. Max began working with
He had been doing this for quite a bit at this point.
Katy Perry and helped her create the song I Kissed a Girl, which would become his third #1 hit song. This song was also fairly controversial at the time, and it helped kick off his huge streak of success.
I was watching the news, clips from the States, where the news reporter was out in the streets like, oh, would you let your kids listen to this thing, kissing girls, a girl kissing and I was like, oh my god, this is going to be huge. this is amazing. They're asking the parents about these things. It's like, great.
That same year, he scored his 4th #1 hit with the song So What by Pink. He continued getting #1s with songs like My Life Would Suck Without You by Kelly Clarkson, 3 by Britney Spears, California.
He had a lot. Look, 2008, several. 2009, several. 2010, several. Okay, that was all him.
Girls and Teenage Dream by Katy Perry, Raise Your Glass by Pink, Hold It Against Me by Britney Spears, E.T. and Last Friday Night by Katy Perry, and
a lot of
many
Katy
more.
Perry.
It seemed like Max had really found his formula for making a hit song, with his second secret being the significance of the melody over the lyrics. Since he isn't a native English speaker, growing up he always felt more of a connection to the melody rather than the lyrics, since he can't always understand them.
I think a lot of us grow
Okay, but he speaks English perfectly, so. But I get it. It's more about the music and the melody than the lyrics.
growing up, not knowing the language. We gravitated towards those things that sounded cool.
Yeah, how it sounds and not specifically what it means.
You know, something to that. The way we listen to a lot of Swedes, I think, or actually outside English-speaking countries.
Yeah, because you don't need to know a language in one particular song I don't really understand what it means, but the catchiness and the melodies, even though it could be in Chinese, but if it sounds catchy, you're going to know what it is. And you're going to be repeating the melody.
You listen to the sound and you make up what it's about. I believe that the sound of a melody is crucial. I think a great melody can be ruined by a bad sounding lyric.
Max and many others attribute this approach to his success, as the melody and the way in which the artist sings it is much more important than the actual lyrical value. For example, with the song I Kissed a Girl, Max said he didn't even understand why the song was so controversial.
For me, coming from here, that's like, it doesn't matter, I guess. But it turned into this whole thing in churches, and they went bananas.
What?
It was brilliant.
So it seems like Max being from a foreign country and not being a native English speaker has helped him achieve a different perspective on music than many of us may have. And doing so allows him to create some hits. But even after all of the hit songs from 2008 to 2011, Max was not done. He continued putting out #1s consistently with songs.
Why would you be done? You're so successful. I'm never stopping.
Songs like Part of Me by Katy Perry, One More Night by Maroon 5, We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together by Taylor Swift, Roar and Dark Horse by Katy Perry, Shake It Off, Blank Space, and Bad Blood by Taylor Swift, Can't Feel My Face by The Weeknd, Can't Stop the Feeling by Justin Timberlake, Blinding Lights by The Weeknd, Save Your Tears by The Weeknd, and My Universe by Coldplay.
There was a little gap between 2016 and 2019. I'm wondering what was up with that.
With all of these songs,
Maybe he took a break. I need a vacation.
That makes 25 #1 hits from Max Martin from 1998 to 2021. This ranks Max Martin as the 3rd songwriter with the most #1 singles, right below Paul McCartney and John Lennon. He's also received 11 Songwriter of the Year awards as well. But there's something about all of the songs I just listed that helped them become big hits, and that is Max Martin's 3rd secret to writing a hit, which is simplicity.
We'll go and try and hash out the lyrics, but his melodies are so incredible and so sophisticated but simple.
I think that Max's secret is probably something along the lines of the simplest, most effective thing is always the best.
I think what he's great at.
Well, that they have a great point. Well, Max has a great point, and it's true. Often the simplest thing is the one that, or the most basic of things, is the one that really gets in your brain.
That is, stop, take a deep breath, simplify.
Max Martin often emphasizes how important it is to
keep it simple, stupid, the KISS method.
Keep the song simple if you want to have a pop hit. He strives to make a song that everyone can enjoy, and he does just that.
I think that's my job, or our job, when we
the common denominator
work with these people, is to kind of make them believe that that's enough. Don't worry about it. Everyone knows you're amazing. So that's the challenge, to really make them feel secure.
Don't overwrite. Just make it as simple as possible.
Sure that it's okay to just sing and concentrate on, hopefully getting great lyrics and tell the story. It's enough.
A YouTube channel called Learn Audio Engineering ran some numbers on Max's hits and discovered that musically speaking, in terms of chords and keys, his songs were all fairly simple. Max Martin's #1 history is impressive, and that's what most people focus on. But honestly, I think his overall chart history is also astounding. I recommend checking out this video, and I'll link this in the description as well, because pretty much every popular song I've ever heard is on this list. I was watching it and I was blown away to see how many songs he had writing credits on. But one thing we have not answered yet is why Max Martin is so mysterious.
I managed to hide between 2 speakers in a basement for over 20 years. And then you did this. Thanks a lot.
He rarely does interviews, hardly goes to music industry events, and he doesn't even use social media. And that's because Max Martin is scared of fame. Recently, he worked on a musical called Anne Juliet, and as the interview began, he said, "I'd rather not do this." And he further explained, "I've always been scared of fame. I've seen it up close, and I don't think it's healthy." And it makes a lot of sense for someone who's constantly around famous people and sees what they have to go through. Fellow Swedish artist E-Type says, with his own demos, Max Martin singing himself, those would have sold 10 million or more. But he wasn't an artist. He didn't want to be an artist. Max Martin is a songwriter and a producer who has mastered his craft, and he loves doing it. He doesn't care about the fame and the fortune. He just cares about making a good product. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. This has been Matty Balls. I hope you guys enjoyed. I thought this guy was super interesting, and it's cool to see all the things he's done and the way the music industry works. Really interesting and fascinating to me. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like if you did down below. Other than that, this has been Matty Balls, and I'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, I like the thing at the end of how he's so, maybe not secretive, because I think secretive would involve some sort of darkness, but I do think that it's because probably at some point, well, I don't know if at some point he had aspirations of, I want to be a huge pop star, but then he actually got to witness how musicians, well, no, not musicians, actual pop stars live, and he was, wow, this thing can really ruin your life, as we've seen time and time again. Because a lot of people, I think, want to be famous, or especially I think with musicians, they want to be rock stars, they want to be pop stars, they want the fame, they want the adoration, they want the money, they want the fame. And yes, of course, I would think that's nice, but at the same time, we've also seen how destructive fame can be and how damaging it is to one person's psyche. So he was probably, I think, yes, all of those things are nice, but I think you probably have the best of both worlds in this way. I don't know if it was a conscious decision on his part, probably yes, after he witnessed how awful it kind of is to be famous. And it's crazy because, again, a lot of people, they want the fame and they want all of that, but I really do think the average person, I don't think it's prepared to handle the actual craziness of being that incredibly famous as a pop star or as a rock star. It's not healthy, and it's a little bit unnatural, and I think again, those people there's gonna be something in their brains that even you really do have to get used to this, and some people obviously have a hard time adjusting, and that's why fame can be so destructive. But maybe even if you're so prepared and you're, oh, I think I'm super well handled with this whole, I'm adjusting properly, I'm adjusting very well, and this is actually something that I want. It can be something you want, and I think it could be very nice at the beginning, but then it spirals into a huge disaster, and it's probably not, you're actually thinking, oh, that's why so many people before me have said, wow, being famous kind of sucks. But at the same time, I really do think it's a conundrum, because at the same time, yes, you kind of hate it because it's a disaster and it can ruin your life. But at the same time, those people, I think after you've achieved a huge level of fame, it can be very hard, I think, to adjust to something a little bit more scaled back. And you're probably thinking, no, I'm craving the adoration, I'm craving the high, which, yes, they probably have to live on an edge and kind of balance it out between, my life sucks because I'm famous, but at the same time, I can't live this life because I'm just addicted to being adored and being famous. And yes, and it's understandable. Again, I totally get it. So maybe after witnessing all of that, he was, you know what, I think I'd rather live my life, and I'd rather be happy and doing what I love, which ultimately is making songs, but without the actual perils of fame. And I think he has it perfectly, because he is incredibly successful. I'm guessing he's super rich, obviously, but he can have that. He can be anonymous, basically. He can walk around in his life at any given city, and he just can live his life perfectly normally without people getting all in his face and being, oh, can I get your autograph? Can I have a photo with you? Etc. He probably doesn't need security as all those famous people do. So he can just continue to live his life in a semi-normal way, because obviously I couldn't compare him to just a random person, a normal person, but he can sort of get the best of both worlds, which I think it's, wow, he figured it out. He leads a perfect balance. Yes, I'm anonymous, I don't have social media, no one in the street is gonna come after me, but at the same time I have all the good things that probably fame can bring you, but without that, because also he's successful. So he's not like no one knows him. No, he's really famous in the industry, and he's successful in the sense of he can be listening to the radio and be, oh, I created that song, but no one's gonna know. If he gets into a cab and they're playing his song on the radio, the cab drivers are gonna know who he is, but he will, and wow, I'm super famous, and I'm super successful. I'm doing what I like, which is this. I'm not really into it for the fame and the whole, again, for being on the stage and being adored by millions. No, I just really like the music aspect of things, which again is valid. I think we need the songwriters, because without songwriters, well, it's both. You can't have pop stars without the songwriters, and you can't have songwriters without the pop stars, because obviously you can write a great song, an amazing song, the catchiest song ever, but if you don't have the perfect singer that actually delivers this particular song in the best possible way, then you do not really have anything. So they need to be perfectly in sync, and like the band. But I think they both need each other, and again, you need both of them. You need people that actually do crave the adoration and are like, no, I don't want to be anonymous. I want to be recognized. I want people to, when I go out in the street, I want people to know me. You need that, and you also need the songwriters that work a little behind the scenes. But yes, this is great. I wonder if people are trying to copy him, because if I were starting as a songwriter, or even if I'm just a songwriter or a musician, I would probably try to follow along his steps. Maybe he has worked a little, and he has probably spoken a lot about how he makes the perfect pop song, or the most, because he's probably not thinking, I want a #1 Billboard hit when he's writing these songs. Although maybe in a way he is, although he knows not all the songs are gonna be hits, because when you're constructing an album, so you gotta have the singles. You also need to have the other songs, and you can't have an album full of singles. Very rarely. I don't know if they want to, and that's why some musicians are, no, I want an album full of singles and super catchy songs. Yes, you always want them to be catchy, but I think constructing an album goes beyond creating the perfect Billboard #1 hit. But I'm wondering, he also spoke a lot about how his songwriting process works, and how he has this bit of a formula. It needs to be catchy. The melody, it's the most important part, not the lyrics, because this isn't folk music, or I'm trying to think of a genre that really is, it's the focus is on the lyrics. It's not that, because you want something catchy, you want something that really sticks in your brain, and you want an earworm, and he has that formula down apparently. So I'm wondering if people are trying to follow along his footsteps, that, don't you want to be my mentor? Or if probably no, I'm not taking anyone under my wing right now, but maybe you can just watch a lot of interviews and try to really study the music and see if you can replicate this formula. I'm wondering if there's been already a couple of doppelgangers, or Max Martin doppelgangers running around in the music industry. We'd love to know. But this is very interesting, and that was it for today, and I'll see you next time. Bye!